The Nurri Leva L-Type might be the most beautiful espresso machine in the world. But the more important question is, how's the espresso? If you get just one thing from this review, it's this. The experience of using this espresso machine is nothing short of a privilege. Here's how it goes. I know that a lot of your espresso quality and taste comes down to the grinder, and I've had quite a few to choose from, but no matter which grinder I'm using, in my experience, the L-Type works with me and helps me to pull the best possible shot with that declining pressure from the 9-bar spring. It's very forgiving. I never used to understand the fascination with lever machines that some other coffee lovers would rave about. I'd only really used the Olympia Cremina before this one, but now I get it. Lever technology is just really well suited to pulling balanced and exciting espresso shots. Now, it is an expensive machine, as it should be for the artistry and engineering that has gone into this thing, but at the same price, there are some other machines that have more features than this one. This definitely is a different kind of beast from something like the Sanremo U, which I reviewed on this channel. So what can it do that other lever machines can't? What does it do right? And what are my nitpicks with this machine? Let's talk about the build, and this machine is heavy. I have never owned a machine that's as heavy as this, and it requires 2 people to lift. I mean, it's 45 kilos. I can do it myself, but it's kind of scary to lift it alone. Like, if I don't get it on the table really fast, I might drop it kind of thing. It definitely needs a sturdy table or bar top, and it's huge. It takes up a lot of space. Absolutely the biggest espresso machine I've ever used at home, and it isn't likely to fit in a small kitchen. If you're spending this much on an espresso machine, you'll make space. It comes with both spouted and bottomless portafilter, and a single 7-gram basket, the double at 18 grams, and a triple at 22 grams. Now, another thing to take into account, pulling down this lever, which releases water into the group head, and then lifting it up, which engages the spring, is actually pretty hard. My sister found it difficult to do and said that it probably wouldn't be comfortable to do on a daily basis. It is a legit concern, but if you really want it, you can make history by being the first person in the world to work out so they can make espresso. The power on button is right up here, and on the left there's a steam button and a brew button. This is actually really useful. When it's warm, you can just turn on the brew button if you're making an iced latte or something, or if you just want an espresso, and save a lot of energy heating up for steam. And in the evening, if you just want to steam some milk for a hot chocolate, you can leave the brew boiler off. Your pressure gauges are above the drip tray, with the left one being for brewing pressure and the right one for steam pressure. Though I feel like they should be the other way around, seeing as the steam one is here on the left. But it's not a big deal, both are big enough and visible enough to see if you care to look. And I love these olive wood panels. Antonio Nurri gave me a few options when he sent this machine through, and I thought the olive was the most beautiful. The lever handle and your portafilters and tamp all come with the same olive wood. And my favourite part is this dark bit over here. So you can tell that it's from a real tree because olive is prone to imperfections like this. When I was in Japan, I learned about this concept called wabi-sabi, meaning the beauty of imperfection. And that's why I love this part. On the back, there's a pressure dial that you can use to control the flow of water through the group. This is a pretty advanced feature actually, as you can simply pull the lever down if you wish and completely control the pressure profile however you choose using this back dial. Or you can just set it to a pre-infusion, which is finished by lifting the lever, which goes to that full 9-bar from the spring that's visible here inside. I've mostly been using this for a 3 or 3.5 bar pre-infusion for 6 to 10 seconds, but you can do some pretty cool things with this. When Antonio Nurri visited me to talk about this machine, he showed me how I could pull a blooming espresso on this.
The water will, let's say, make your coffee cake wet. You are not extracting yet, so you will check how many seconds, let's say 12 seconds. So once you are ready, you pull the lever down and you make your normal extractions like this after the blooming has been made. I think the most interesting coffee to do blooming are the light roasted.
Yeah.
With the light roasted coffee, you can really get an interesting notes, which you really don't get if you do a standard extractions. You should try coffee after coffee to see which one, which, let's say, parameters are the best for for your instructions.
I also got a sneak peek at the Nurri S-Type when Antonio was here, which I'll be uploading for my Patreon subscribers, so you can head over there for a first look at that machine. To the right and left of the lever, you have these paddles. The one on the right, you push in to release water into the group. This is also the same mechanism that the lever uses when you pull it down. It pushes that paddle in on the right, and then the left one you pull, which vents all the water from the group, and it also stops the timer that comes on automatically when you pull the lever down or engage this water switch. This is my first real nitpick that I would love if the timer stayed on just a little longer. It's best to check it when you pull the paddle, because that number goes away in about 3 seconds. I also really like that the 3-way solenoid valve here is very discreet at the back. It doesn't take up a lot of space like some of those E61 groups that have that column at the back that sometimes stops your cup or your scale from fitting properly underneath the group. Up here you have the PID, which shows the temperatures of the brew and steam boilers, and also the independently heated group. Press the 2 buttons in to access the temperature menu, and then the left one to cycle between the T1 brew boiler, the T2 steam boiler, and T3 for the heated group. Now I'm not sure why I would want the group to be different from the brew boiler. Maybe you can tell me in the comments and suggest some experiments for me to do. But if you have them set to the same temperature, you'll get some incredibly consistent temperatures. Now the Nurri Leva L-Type does drink water like a fish. When you pull the lever down, it fills the group with what seems like it could be as much as 100 milliliters, and doing flushes between shots means I've ended up refilling the 1.8 liter reservoir a lot more frequently than I'd expect to on a semi-automatic machine. The drip tray holds quite a bit of water, but it gets full pretty fast, at least the way I'm using the machine. But it is very easy to remove, and it has magnets at the back to hold the drip tray in place. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I'm a big fan of magnets in espresso gear, so the drip tray design gets a thumbs up from me. The only thing is that venting steam into here when it's full will blow water everywhere, so I always have a cloth here to stop that. Underneath there is a pipe for plumbing this machine, which I would love to do someday, but for now it's a little bit far away from my kitchen for that. When the reservoir runs out of water, you'll hear a beeping sound reminding you to refill it. I would tell you that this noise is kinda ugly, but Antonio told me that this has already been fixed for the newer models. I'm fine with my ugly screechy one though, and I feel special that mine's a little bit different. The steam on this is amazing. It's honestly the best steam I've ever experienced on a home espresso machine. The steam and hot water ones are both cool touch insulated, so while you can feel a little bit of warmth if you've been running them for quite a while, they are cool enough to move around without needing a rubber slider to move it. And honestly, I think every machine that costs more than about £2,000 should have insulated steam ones. You can control the temperature and the pressure that generates using the PID system on top, and it goes up pretty high, up to 140 degrees C. I've actually generally felt more comfortable at 132 to 135, so the milk doesn't blow out the top of the pitcher. It's a 2-hole steam tip, and the holes are just the right size, so that you can get that nice soft hiss when you add air instead of a gurgling sound. I've consistently had some of the best milk foam for latte art out of this machine that I've ever had. Check some of my latte art out. Now the cup warming grill on top does scare me a little bit. It gets your cups very warm quickly, but the holes lead inside, so when I pour water in the reservoir, I'm always really careful to make sure I don't drop any water inside. It's never happened yet, but if I was lazy filling up and spilled some, I do worry that the water might go inside the machine. Again, it's a nitpick. I'm sure you're not pouring anything on your machine, but I'm a worrier, especially when it comes to my coffee equipment. Thankfully, if anything goes wrong with the machine, it's very easy to open up and take off the side panels for access to the components. I've looked inside a few times and it's a very clean build. I used to build PCs, so I like how tidy this all is. I'm also hoping to go and visit the Nurri showroom sometime and learn a bit more about how to work on the machine so I can do maintenance on it myself if I need to. Now, my final nitpick, this one is a little bit more serious though, is that the only thing the Nurri Leva does that interrupts my usual workflow, what with it being a traditional lever machine and all, is that you have to hold the vent paddle in while the water is sent through the solenoid valve. It takes about 5 seconds to fully vent the water from the machine and stop your shot, so it's a little less comfortable to steam milk and pull a shot at the same time, even though it's a dual boiler, because of not having any kind of automatic cutoff or just an easy switch to vent it without having to hold it down. This also leads to more soggy pucks than a lot of semi-automatic machines that I've used, just due to how it pulls water from the group a little more slowly. But none of this is really a big deal, and honestly, this is the most amazing machine I've ever had on my bench. It's a pleasure to use every day, but I also know that this isn't for everyone. For one thing, the size will make it that you might need to remodel your kitchen just to fit it in. Not everyone has made espresso such a big part of their lives as I have, and made this whole coffee bar, which I will be doing a video on soon. And if you're looking for the best bang for your buck in terms of price versus features, there are more feature-rich machines out there. The decent DE1 Pro gives you a lot more data and information, and the Sanremo U is a dual boiler as well that has custom profiling, and much more for coffee science nerds who want to play around with all kinds of crazy variables. You can try some of that with this machine, but it's definitely more of a manual, old-fashioned, and for traditional kind of coffee lovers. But if you want a piece of artwork on your coffee bar that will make every morning exciting and that will blow your friends' minds, I honestly couldn't recommend it enough. I love mine, and I'm not looking forward to having to take it off the bar to review other machines. This is now my benchmark for high-end espresso machines, and it's a pretty high bar to beat. I'd love to hear what you think about this machine, and if you're excited for the DF64V review I have here on my bar now, so subscribe if you want to see that video as soon as it comes out. Thank you so much for watching, you wonderfully overcaffeinated people, and I'll see you on the next one.